I remember going to this therapist who would literally tell me about how this identity would go away. No child should go to a doctor and feel, okay, this is a medical professional telling me there's something intuitively wrong with me. That really, really messes up your psyche. That really, really messes up your sense of self. I hope no other person has to go through this.
As an activist, I know quite a few of cases wherein parents or their family members or their friends have taken the queer child to such practitioners who are mental health professionals but are not queer friendly, and they have claimed that they would be able to change the gender identity or a sexual orientation or gender expression of this person. I know the cases wherein a child has been put under a lock in their own home. Their phones have been taken away from them. Their whole connection with the external world has been cut off, and they live like a prisoner within their own home.
I remember being 16, going to the therapist only to hear this medical professional talk about how directly, my queerness was something intuitively wrong with me. And this is not something that they say to your face, this is something they make sure you're aware of. Queer children intuitively grow up, especially in the Indian state. They know for a fact that their parents will shun them down, their voice will be shut down. As a queer person, as a closeted queer person, you would go to a therapist and your first instinct is, okay, let me first find out whether this person is queer affirmative or not, whether this person will invalidate my experience or not. There is a need for queer affirmative therapists in India because no child should grow up thinking that there is something instinctively, morally, or religiously wrong with them.
Largely, a lot of people are getting out of educational institutes, learning or knowing more about how to cure queer people rather than how to support queer people. And unfortunately, people continue to offer this kind of corrective sort of treatment or conversion therapies. Living as a queer and trans person in a cis heterosexual world, in a world that sees LGBTQ people as invalid, as abnormal, takes a toll. There are costs and consequences to being queer in a cis heterosexual world.
In my personal experience, there have been therapists who would tell me that my trauma and my experiences weren't linked to my queerness, which to them is a form of queer validation, that we see you and that's it's okay. What they do not realize is the impact that they hold on us would quite literally invalidate our queerness.
And that's when you also need queer affirmative mental health care in order to support yourself as a queer and trans person in a sort of a hostile, difficult, unsupportive world.
Very simple, you can say difference between queer friendly and queer affirmative is like, you can say queer friendly is like, okay, you exist. I think that's cool. Affirmative would be like, I see you, I acknowledge you, I acknowledge your struggles, your pride in being yourself. I think most of the places that I worked at had regressive views. As a queer person, even I had been the receiving end of those. There was the usual disinterest and judgment about our choice to be queer. But what really stuck with me was not them not standing up against 377, not empowering their queer clients, not calling out other therapists for things like conversion therapy.
For the queer affirmative therapist, the first step is always to acknowledge that one's own training has not equipped oneself to work with the queer and trans communities, that we may have passed out of institutes where the curriculum was pathologizing and medicalizing queer identities and did not really give us enough to support queer and trans people in their journeys. Being queer affirmative means always doing that bit of extra for your client, going that extra mile, because you know that when it comes to marginalized identities, they do not start at the same starting line as everyone else. They start way behind because of how society treats them. And if that's the kind of gap that is there between the pathologized and those who are seen as normal, then I think that's making a case for all of us to do that extra for the LGBTQ community in their mental health journeys in order to support them in this very, very hostile world.